What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co host, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of the Film Bros podcast. All right, Josh. So today we have a movie review and a crazy one at that. Oh my God, I couldn't wait for this review. I feel like there's a lot to discuss here. I feel like there's a lot to dig into. There's a lot of meat. Okay. If anybody knows this director, we know him as not only as like a god tier director, as like somebody whose name will sell tickets in it itself, right? But just a director that causes controversy as well, right? Even though his movies are great, they do cause a lot of chatter, from casting choices to decisions in the movie. I mean, I heard one person on a what is those bike machines, the gym ones, talking about one of his movies as well, saying she didn't really understand it, give me my time back or whatever. uh this director, we love him, and I'm gonna love talking about this movie and with the utmost respect. And yeah, Josh, yeah.
Okay. Sure, man. Sure.
Let them know what we're talking about today, Josh, so we can get into this review.
We're talking about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey 2026.
Tell me what you remember.
A wife? A son?
And then what?
We won the war.
Yes, Josh, The Odyssey. Now, unfortunately, and it's my failure to report that we were not able, well, at least me, I don't know about Josh, I'm pretty sure he didn't either, but we did not get to see it in this 70 millimeter. That's only reserved for Sinners still. Sinners has the top spot, the best movie going experience that we've had so far is since, I guess, the 2020s, right? Um, but I still was able to watch it in IMAX. Were you able to watch it in IMAX?
Yes. I watched that.
At least in, if Nolan was like, "Oh, this is like what I wish you would watch it on," we're right in the middle where he's like, "Okay, you're a little poor." But we at least made it. At least we don't have the two black lines, I guess, covering up 60% of the film, according to Twitter and whatnot. I don't know if it's true, but I've been seeing a lot of side by sides, and I wonder if it's actually true, like the aspect ratio and how much it actually cuts off and whatnot.
I'm pretty sure.
For the 70 millimeter, yes, but like from regular IMAX to like regular screens, like I wouldn't think there would be.
It would just look
much.
cleaner. That's always been the thing. It just looks smoother.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like everyone making the comparison to 70 millimeter, yeah, it's frame ratio. It's not quality. If that makes sense.
Right. You just see more of the screen. You're just able to see more of the screen. So it's still really nice though. I mean, I still remember Sinners. I wound up watching Sinners at home as well. It's just an experience. I feel like that's just, if I die today, I experience Sinners, and that's, in 70 millimeter, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Strike me down, Zeus. No.
Oh my gosh.
Strike me down. So yeah. So the Odyssey has been doing really well. The Odyssey has surpassed 700 million in just after 12 days in the theater. People have been loving it. It was breaking records since the moment it's been released. People are still chattering about it. Good, bad, all in between. But I know a lot of this, a lot of this build up for this movie, Josh, and this is like right before we start getting into this review. There was a lot of hate, right? There was a lot of people that was, saying the casting was bad, and obviously we're going to talk about the cast in our review and all that stuff. They were saying that, Nolan is going woke and all this stuff. Like they basically try to Rachel Zegler him, they try to Amanda Lestenberg him, and obviously, I'm not saying he's bigger than the Machine, but he is quite big enough to challenge said Machine. I don't think he'll win, but he will put up a good fight in my opinion.
Right.
But I mean, you kind of heard all this controversy. Did that kind of affect your viewing walking in? Were you able to kind of look at it objectively still? I mean, I'm hoping the internet did not rot your brain.
Oh fuck no, dude. I went in there and I was watching it to the best of my ability. No, ain't nobody stopping me from enjoying anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, you know, there was Millie Alcock a second ago who really made you not want to see a movie. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah, but
you know,
I mean, I still saw it, and I mean, the fact that she ended up being the best part is insane. But like, that's the thing. Only actors have that power to make me iffy. You know what I mean?
right.
It's their movie, so of course I take their what they're saying or how they're acting in the media a little differently than like normal people that are like, oh, we fucking, how dare they be black? You know, like that's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
Okay. And I mean, obviously, this is a big, I guess, a real big point that we kind of need to talk about before we get into it, because I mean, I don't think it affected my viewing too. Before we get to that point, but I don't believe it affected my viewing. I think for the most part, I was just like, there was one actor in that movie that I was just like kind of worried seeing it. And I can't wait to talk about him because I feel like we're gonna be on the same page when it comes to said actor. So it's gonna be really fun to get around to that. But it did not affect my viewing, at least on my part. So Josh, I do think that, I think a good point that we gotta kind of bring up as well, is did you watch the Odyssey? Right? Or I mean, have you read the Odyssey? I mean, the Odyssey is kind of a big thing, right? It's a 200-year-old story. It's been adapted in many different ways. People take their interpretations from it. We've had actual, one for one adaptations in the past. Bringing the Odyssey in 2026. I mean, do you have knowledge of the Odyssey? I know some people were cracking open the history books.
Yeah, no, I did. I had it prior, and I immediately was like, oh shit, I can't wait for this to be adapted, and all the people that didn't read the book not to understand the lick of what was happening.
It's unfortunate that it seems either the director bamboozled us to the point where it was like, if you watched it, I mean, if you know about the Odyssey, he basically was like, look, either I didn't read it all the way or I read it in a different way, and you're gonna get it the way I envisioned it. Right, and I do like that that Nolan is one of those people that he'll kind of take what the source material is and kind of moves it that way. Because I've not only seen the movie. There's a couple movies out there, but I've seen like I forgot what year it was, but there's a movie out there that has a good chunk that I believe is a little bit more, at least a good faithful to what they were trying to do. But like I said, this Odyssey book has been adapted in many different ways, right? And it's always going to be modernized as time goes on, especially with a 200-year-old story. So I mean, for those that read it, good on you. It's always good to know what the Odyssey is, but I think this is one of those ones where you didn't have to read the source material before walking into it. And we'll talk about more of what we mean in a second. Josh, the Odyssey.
Right.
94% on the tomato meter, 97% on the popcorn meter. Certified fresh. It is in the 90s for both. Right. Only like 3% did not like the film, but I mean, what do we think about the numbers?
I'm down. I am down for this. We have our own gripes, but to say that this movie isn't sound and almost damn near perfect is pretty insane. So I'm down for both sides.
Okay, I understand it too. I know this is not going to be for everybody. I'm happy that the split is not as big because I would have been a little bit more worried, because it would have been like, I would have felt the chatter would have worked if this score was lowered. You know what I'm saying? I would have felt like the whole internet chatter about, the whole woke stuff, I would have felt like it would have worked a little bit if this score was low. But it's really good, and the little bit that disliked it, I think we can kind of see that, like you said, this movie is not perfect, but it can be as near perfect as it can be, right? Um, the Odyssey, Josh. Spoilers up ahead. We're gonna talk about the Odyssey. Um, Obviously, you guys know that there will be spoilers, but Josh, break down the story a little bit, and then we're gonna go down the cast, the world building, all the good stuff that we usually discuss.
Okay. The Odyssey, starring Matt Damon. Um, yeah, this is the thing. If you know the story, you know it's just about Odysseus, his battle with Troy, and his trials and tribulations of trying to get home while his kingdom is under siege of potential suitors. His queen slash wife trying to hold everybody off so Telemachus can probably be of age or soon to be of age to take the throne. Odysseus loses his men at sea. Eventually, he makes it home. That it's pretty cut and dry, the story, which leaves a lot of room for eventful things to happen, and that's hopefully ball. And if you don't know ball, that I'm sorry, that's it. Like that's all of it.
Yes, so pretty cut and dry. Josh is right. I do think that that's basically the gist of it, which is, I mean, it's really nice, but it just makes it a little bit worse with certain aspects because we all know in the original Odyssey, it's meant to be mythical, right? We have Zeus, Poseidon, Hermes is involved at one point, Athena. So we have all these different, you know, obviously the gods that were there. Even in the movie, they say that they're trying to please and whatnot, Zeus's law. Um, and it's not something that we get in this movie, unfortunately. But that's something that's big on that side, which we're gonna have to discuss a little bit more down the road. But um, you know, we're gonna have to go down this. We're gonna have to go down this review to really dig deep into this because there's a lot to talk about for sure. So, Josh, we're going to start where we usually start with the characters, and we're going to go one by one. Let's try not to jump too ahead of ourselves. I think it's hilarious what Travis Scott's, like, every actor has what is it called? One of those standard shots that they're supposed to have to basically sell themselves. Interesting. And it's not a spoiler. Travis Scott is in the movie. He was in a trailer. And everybody was going crazy about it. I think that was another reason why people were going crazy, right? Because Travis Scott was in the movie. They're like, Christopher Nolan casting Travis Scott is crazy. So, like I said, Christopher Nolan did direct the film, written by Christopher Nolan. He also credits Homer. Interestingly enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Starring Matt Damon as Odysseus, Tom Holland as Telemachus, Anne Hathaway as Penelope, Travis Scott as Bard, Robert Pattinson as, I'm gonna butcher some of these names, Antinous, Corey Hawkins as Polybus, Elliot Page as Sinon, Shiloh Fernandez, so on and so forth. We do have a good little 4-minute cameo from, what is it, Benny Safdie, John Leguizamo. I'm probably butchering his name as well.
Leguizamo. He deserves more.
Leguizamo. Sorry, I'm not good with names. I'm sorry. John Leguizamo, say the name because I'm gonna butcher it again.
Eumaeus. Yeah, Eumaeus.
Okay. Who did Benny Safdie play?
He was he was the soldier, the main one leading them. Dang, I can't even see here.
Agamemnon.
Yeah, Agamemnon. There you go. He's
played Agamemnon.
I'm looking at it on Letterboxd, and like half the people on here, they have like the full cast, and then like to get to the people that are like damn near not even in the movie for that long, or like way at the bottom. But it's a long ass list, and he actually was way at the bottom. Like I had to press show more type shit.
Yeah, and I think that's why I want to go through some of these casts, but the more prominent ones. I know there's just like little ones that weren't really advertised or talked about. So when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, that's cool to see them in here. You know what I mean? It was kind of like a bit of a cameo fest in a way, but with actors. You know what I'm saying? So it was pretty cool. But character-wise, Josh, how did we feel about obviously Matt Damon? He was like the lead, Tom Holland as well. Um, I want to say they were mostly the two leads, right? And then,
Right.
I mean, obviously we get a little bit of a performance from Elliot Page and Hathaway as well. So, I mean, what do we think about the characters?
Man, I think everybody in this movie acted their ass off. Do I still have a problem with Matt Damon being as old as he is? Now that I've seen the movie, no. But I know that was a big concern of mine in the beginning of all this stuff. Um, I have like, I don't think I have any notes on like characters and actors because I think, like I said, I think everybody did their thing. I don't have a problem with like anybody.
Okay. I see. So we're not on the same page, and I'm kind of worried about this review that we're going to be talking about here because there was one person, one that I could say right now. Everybody did exactly what you said. Everybody did their thing. I honestly believe, even Tom Holland. I will say, I told you this off the pod too, but I will say that I do think Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland should have maybe switched. But I really like the difference that we had with Robert Pattinson in the gear change when it comes down to his acting choices. It always seems like he's always like the nice, suave, handsome, guy who basically at the end of the day still gets what he wants. He's not really played as like a really bad, nasty villain. You know what I mean? And I really loved the kind of performance he brought. But like I said, I would have kind of liked to see him in Tom Holland's role. When I was watching the movie, for some reason, I was just like, damn, if they would have just switched, I feel like I would have been in like heaven. But I really loved, regardless, like everybody's performance. Everybody did good with it. But I hated seeing John Berthal in there as John Berthal. Let me just be honest with you, okay? I was so afraid that we were actually going to get that let me tell you something moment. I'm happy that we did not. But John Berthal is the only one who walked in as himself. He walked on set, said, I am me. Just shaved my head, put a bald cap on him. I don't think he actually shaved his head. But he's the only one in this movie that I was just like, dude, you did not even change. Like you, who put you in a bald cap and said, "Hey, if anybody, there's two people that took me out of the immersion. I gotta say, Elliot Page is one of those that kind of was doing a number on the immersion in the beginning, but I got into it towards the middle of the movie because it was just I was kind of immersed. There was no point in getting unimmersed at that point. So it was kind of a good thing what, in my opinion, what Nolan did, kind of opening the movie up with Elliot Page there to kind of get the shell shock out of the way. So that was, I guess, kind of nice. But I gotta say, John Berthal is the only one where I was like, as an actor, dude, you're in a Nolan fucking film, bro, and you literally just acted like the Punisher. You acted like yourself. He
Yeah,
didn't. There was no gear change. He was like Vin Diesel being in a different movie. He was like Dwayne the Rock Johnson being in a different movie. He's the same guy.
what? I mean, that's just Menelaus, bro. That's just how it
That's
rolls.
it. He's just the Punisher, bro. He's just John Berthal, bro.
He's just literally
didn't you see he wasn't taking naps? That's why he wound up getting home first.
literally, bro. That's the thing. That's the thing because like Menelaus is kind of like one of those guys because he comes back from war and he's living like the fruits of his labor. He's the only one. And
Yeah.
like, that's about it. Like, so I mean, it makes sense. I understand what you're saying, but it makes sense.
As an actor, not giving us any other gear besides the one that he's used to makes sense. Him playing safely in a Nolan film makes sense. I don't know.
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you know the character, and I mean, you know,
Why didn't
you
we
saw
get
the
it?
movie.
Why didn't we get like a like a little bit of an accent, like a little bit of a different kind of tone, a little. Why was it John Berthal just in a bald cap, dude? Like that's just me.
Because you don't need all that stuff, man. None of these other guys spoke in an accent. You don't need that.
Well, no, not anybody like spoke in an accent, but like I said, Robert Pattinson gave us a different gear. Matt Damon, in my opinion, gave us like a gear shift I never even thought he would be able to do in this film. I thought he was really, really good. Tom Holland, I didn't even think he could do this. This man was Spider-Man. I know that he had a show where he was getting like stuff rammed up his booty or something. I don't know. But like
Wow, you gotta bring all that up.
I'm just saying, like that wasn't I didn't see that either. I don't know. He was just Spider-Man to me. So like the fact that we actually got something out of him, it was actually insane. Um the Corey Hawkins, I've seen him in a couple of things, and he's only been like a detective, and he was Dr. Dre at one point. So it's like, you see him in different things and all that stuff, and the fact that he was actually able to give us like a that performance where he had with Tom Holland, where he had him at knife point, and it was like I was just like, okay, this is really cool. Everybody gave an immersive performance. Even like I said, my problems with Elliot Page. She even gave a good performance towards the middle of the movie when she popped back up again, and I was like, oh, cool. Um, but like, out of everybody, John Berthel was like, hey man, dude, you shouldn't have done that, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're the only one with the problem. I understand what you're saying. I'm okay with it, bro.
Oh my gosh.
I'm okay with it.
Like, world building.
I like John Berthel. I think he can do no wrong. So I mean,
I like John Berthel too, but I don't want John Berthel in the Odyssey. What the fuck? We just rammed the Punisher in Homer's like epic. Like you're just like, where does the Punisher fit in this thing? Like, no. He was probably thinking, hey man, we're gonna get a good performance. I wonder if like in the middle of acting, Nolan was just like, damn, he's not giving me what everybody else was. Holy shit. I don't know.
That's why he's in the movie list. But yeah. World building, right? That's where we're at.
Yeah, world building. How did we feel about the world building of this film?
I thought it was good. I think because we're not at plot yet, so I don't want to hit the nail too hard, but I do think for what the movie is, what the movie does, how they explain such things, it does a good job. I think it's great.
Okay. Yes, the world building was good, but I do think again, the missing the gods in this film, I do feel kind of leads to a, what's the best way to put it? I think it does have to kind of go hand in hand with like plot, but also like the cinematography, um, when it comes down to the world building. Because I think what Christopher Nolan did with this world, obviously he deterred from the Homer original that was originally made, or not, basically moved on from that. I would like to say he modernized this film for like modern audiences, and the messaging and everything that was basically put into this film to for the audience. I do feel it's a modern take, so I am gonna kind of leave it kind of labeled as that. So a lot of this stuff kind of ties into that, right? So maybe in his modern take, and especially him, even when he did Batman, it was like grounded. Gods don't live or actually rule or have domain on earth. It's just another like calling for Jesus or something. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
His whole explanation was like he wants to do the gods like how the people of that time would have seen them, which is just like, oh, the weather changes and you're like, oh, it's someone, Zeus is mad or some shit like that. So like they don't manifest, but that's the thing. That this was a problem that I had. This was another problem I had when we were talking about it up until release. I think that was a problem too. I was like, he's not gonna do the gods like how I'm thinking they should be done, and that's a problem. I think that's a huge problem because the book has gods, and they're not just hurling lightning bolts. Like, no, you actually see a manifestation of them at some point in the book. So, yeah, that's one of them. And like, is it all one? And are we just touching up on everything then?
Kind of, yeah, I would say so, because I do think that it is kind of like bundled up. So, I mean, plot wise, just so we can kind of hurdle through it, and then we can kind of talk about it as a whole.
Okay.
Plot wise, I mean, to say that this movie doesn't have plot would be a lie. This movie is drenched deep with like just like I said, the messaging and the coding that Christopher Nolan wanted to basically, the story he wanted to tell, basically, right?
Right.
Like I said, I do think there is Homer and his Odyssey, right? And then there's Christopher Nolan and his Odyssey, and I do think that the plot for what it is, because the fact that they do the, in the original Odyssey, it's just the voyage home, right? And dealing with the gods and the elements and trying to actually make it home. Um, Obviously, we had Anne Hathaway's Penelope in there and all that stuff, and but in this one, the plot kind of takes it to a PTSD, and to the trials and tribulations are more inward than outward, right? It's to believe to be outward, but a lot of it's inward. And I do think, the plot, I like it for what it is, right? I do like what we get from this movie. Is it what we're used to? No.
Yeah.
But I do like what we get from this film when it comes to the plot. So,
Yeah. Having seen it and knowing like what goes on now, the tagline "Defy the Gods" makes sense because in the book, he's not trying to defy them on purpose. He's just like everything up until the Cyclops. He's just doing out of survival,
mhm.
and like, but now in the movie it's completely different. He's actively trying to defy the gods and get home, and like, I mean that's a nice way to twist it, I guess, but it's just not what happens. And so you understand that yes, this is very much Nolan's interpretation of the Odyssey. And we know, slight dig to the Nolster, but he didn't read the book, so
Yeah. Or maybe he read the ending or got the cliff notes of the ending and just
I mean,
continued going.
the plot's cool. I think he got the cliff notes. He definitely hit everything, all the popular stuff on the head. He was like, we'll just. He was probably just like, we'll fantasize the gods the best we can, but everything else we're gonna do real. And so you can love that he does everything real, but when it comes to the whirlpool, the monster that does the whirlpool, and I think Scylla, like cool that you got to do it real, but I'm looking for a 6-headed like serpent lady, not whatever the fuck was chilling on the side of the rock. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Which it's gonna go to my cons, certain things, because like I said, near perfect film. We're gonna talk about, I'm gonna have to bring up some of the bad, but I do want to get some of the good out of the way, and that's gonna lead to like the cinematography as well, the immersion that you get from, like I said, the plot, the cinematography, and even the world building tying together into Nolan's vision creates an immersive experience that I haven't had in, I wouldn't say in years, but that like the immersive experience that I got from this film with all that tied together was amazing. I really can't even deny that it really had me hooked and I got captured because it didn't feel like anything was on green screen. Yeah, there was CGI, but and maybe a little bit of VFX, but like for the most part, everything felt real. Nothing felt like it was fake. You know, that's something that we've talked about a lot in like superhero movies and whatnot. Like punches land, but they don't feel like they hurt. Things break, but it looks like it's just bouncing off like it's rubber. It is what it is. But like the way that Nolan films, it just brings you into the film in a way that I'm just like, damn, like Christopher Nolan's the goat, man. I can't even be
Yeah,
upset about it.
that's the thing. Like, technically, this like much like Matt Reeves' Batman movie, perfect. Like, oh, like almost perfect. I can't say perfect. Almost perfect.
Mm.
But like it is good. You look at like you said, the effects. It's good. The storytelling. They do their best, and they do what they can. it boils down to like what you know and how knowledgeable you are of the original stuff. Um, and like I don't know. I don't have a problem with the cast and stuff. I already said that. I think I have a problem with like how he starts the story. I told you this off the pod too. Like I wouldn't start at the end. You know what I mean? Like that's not where I would start. I would, if I'm telling the Odyssey, I'm starting where the book starts, basically inside the Trojan horse, and that doesn't mean I'm Odysseus talking to Athena or Circe about Athena and Calypso, sorry, about where I was in the Trojan horse. And like, no, I'm starting inside that motherfucker all the way till I get home. And like, that's my big gripe, because I feel a lot of that is just exposition. Like they show us a lot, but before we get to the scenes where they start showing us, he expositions himself a lot.
Right. That was something that I kind of took issue with as well. That's starting off at the end of the book, which the beginning of that journey can be a story in itself, but there had to be more than just what was given to us, I believe, right? Because like I said, even though it was immersive, we wanted to see some of those elements that the Odyssey basically brung, like the actual Trojan War, to have seen that through Nolan's eyes would have been pretty cool. But as we know, what was his name again? The
Agamemnon?
dude, Agamemnon. Practically speaking, I don't think he'd be able to do battle in that shit, right? The world building, the way that Nolan goes about it, I feel like even down to the outfits that he uses. I know some people were clowning, like some of the clothing, like, oh, it just looks like their normal clothes or whatever. But like Agamemnon's armor, like that never looks like something that would, you know, be used practically, in my opinion, right? It looks like something that was like meant to just be shown off and not necessarily be used in a warrior sense or anything like that. Obviously, not like Matt Damon's outfit, his armor and all that stuff. That looked like he's a grunt. Or he's gonna actually do something. Even though he was like top general, he looks like he was ready to do battle in that era. Not really, Agamemnon and stuff like that. But those things do play a part, in my opinion, because it's those moments where like you see the statue of Athena getting its head blown off and all that, the boats, like all of that just feels purposeful, right? Like everything just feels like there's a reason behind it. I don't know if there's actually a reason behind it, but everything just feels like there's a reason behind the choices that are made within this film. It doesn't seem random. It doesn't seem like it's just thrown together. It seems like it's a deliberate hand that Nolan wants to kind of paint this picture for you guys. Maybe I got to rewatch the movie to get a little bit more in-depth detail, but because that's another thing I got to talk about. Nolan writing a film, I'm sorry, bro. And everybody's right when they clown him for like Tom Holland saying dad and the other guy saying father, and this guy talking like this and this guy talking like that. When we get like when we had the Odyssey back in the day, everybody that were in that group, they talked the same. You had the people that were high up, they talked a certain way. Like there was always like, there's levels to the way that people speak to each other, and like it just felt like everybody was kind of doing their own thing when it came down to like delivering certain lines.
I understand that, but I don't know. That's the thing. If that were the case, they'd all be speaking like Greek, right? And like, no one wants to see that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, like you don't have to dub it, but I mean, well, yeah, Greek. I mean, so some, a lot of people like to do the whole, what is it, like British? It's usually like British, or that's usually kingdom stuff, right? Like Brits, and
yeah.
so it's like I'm to me, it's we could have went a certain way
You're
and
thinking
could have
like,
had it in line.
yeah, you're thinking like
It could have been Australian.
no, no, like, oh my god, I can't even picture that. That sounds so bad.
Mm.
No, it's you're thinking like is it Robert Eggers? You know what I mean? Like he picks an era and they talk like that. Are you
Yeah,
thinking like that?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Like kind of like what we got with Nosferatu. Like nobody was all like, "Yo, Dad, what's happening?" Like that's just that would have been out of the blues in
Right,
Nosferatu's
right,
time. You know what I mean?
right. Like what's happening, Nosferatu?
Yeah.
But I can understand that.
Nosferatu.
Like I said, I can understand that. And like if they were all talking, I guess kind of like classical and fancy and all that.
Or
Like
like from where they're from, because I mean, if they're traveling the seas, there has to be like, you know, not a not a major spoiler, but kind of like Athena, right? Like she could have had a certain language or something that could have kind of threw us off. You know what I mean? That would have gave us a better sense of what of the goddess that she's supposed to be. But it was just Zendaya being Zendaya.
oh yeah, but I mean,
The
the
fuck?
gods get a pass in that kind of aspect though because they're meant to speak to everybody, so they're gonna choose the native tongue, I guess.
Oh shit! I gotta be honest too. I don't think Zendaya gave us a different gear in this movie either.
He didn't.
She played the same thing.
He didn't even.
I'm saying Zendaya.
Yeah. Shut up. He was. No. It's. I think she did great. I think her facial expressions carry a lot in this movie, like especially like towards the
What
end.
facial? She looked the same.
No, towards the ending and all that stuff. I'm not trying to spoil it too heavy, but towards the ending and stuff, I think she did
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Okay, that's different.
But
Okay,
like,
that's different.
but like, she does. She is. Athena isn't like heavy, and that's the problem. The fucking gods again, right? But
Hmm.
um, yeah, no.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
totally not Zendaya's acting. Totally not Zendaya's
no, no, no.
acting.
It's Nolan's choice and writing.
I'm not. Yeah.
Nolan can write. He has a problem with like
I don't know,
action.
because I think he also did. I think he also wrote for Tenet, right? And for me, that wasn't the best one either.
Didn't he? Yeah, but he also did like he wrote the Batman trilogy, didn't he?
No. Yeah, he did write Tenet. He did write Tenet. Uh, Batman Begins. I don't think he wrote these movies. Oh, shoot. The ad tried to get me. No, see, David S. Goyer,
He wrote.
Bob Kane,
He wrote.
Nolan. Nolan was a part of it, but I'm pretty sure David S. Goyer was like a heavier hand.
Right, but I mean, he did help.
Yeah, okay, that's different than just being the sole guy, and then just wanting to be like, okay, Homer kind of helped.
He also
That's not
helped
true.
write Man of Steel, man. I don't know.
Like I said, Tenet was another movie to me that I realized that he wrote too, and it wasn't the best writing. And the fact that he wrote this one as well, like I said, and this is another thing too. Maybe this comes with the immersion as well. I don't know. It kind of took me out a little bit, but you know, the writing is kind of inconsistent, like the movie as well. And it's just because it's just because that's just how like he interpreted the movie. So it's just how it is. So the inconsistency matches up with the consistent movie, so it makes it a whole. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you take the puzzle out, it would be weird, but you put the puzzle in, it fits fine.
Okay.
But I would still say the writing is probably like the weakest part of this movie. I gotta say, a good chunk of the writing is the weakest
I
part of
think
this
when a
movie.
lot of it is
I gotta
dialogue,
say, the dialogue, the fact that don't get me wrong, I understand it's supposed to be modern, but last time I remember Anne Hathaway's Penelope giving a speech that way, she wasn't allowed to speak the way that she spoke to Tom Holland's character. Last time I checked, Tom Holland's character threw her in the jail cell for talking the way that she did, and that's basically what happened. But she had a whole spiel about how she had to hold it down, and though I respect it because it's modern, I'm more like back in the day that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened.
she's still queen. She's still his mother. So I mean, it makes sense.
But let's be honest, back in the day, the man's rule would have through that wouldn't have happened.
I mean, sure, but even then, it's not his throne. So, and she's
I'm
the
just
one.
saying what I
She's the
know.
one that
I'm just
issues the
saying what I know.
challenge.
I'm just saying what I know.
She's the one that issues the challenge in the book. When do they throw her in the prison? Are we sure that's correct?
Yeah, okay. Think about this. There's multiple interpretations of the Homer's Odyssey,
Right.
right? It was made 200 years ago. So there's a version of it where there's a version of a book of that Odyssey where she gets out of line, he throws her in jail, and that she basically stays in jail to rethink whatever she was supposed to do, and he makes her find a suitor, and then that's when she does the axe thing and
Oh my
everything
god,
like
that
that.
sounds terrible.
Yeah, see, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there's different interpretations, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this interpretation, it fits perfectly because it is, it's for a modern audience, and that's something that modern audiences would have, I believe would resonate with more modern audiences than being like, "Shut your ass up, take her ass to jail." Like, imagine if Tom Holland was just like keeping his pimp hand strong on his mama. That'd be crazy. You can't do that. Can't
No,
do that in a modern
I
movie nowadays.
Anne Hathaway, bro. Having not seen her, I mean, I didn't see the Devil Wears Prada 2.
Okay.
So this is like my first time seeing her back in like her bag. She does great. Her and Matt Damon really put this bitch on their back because holy fuck, it was great.
I gotta say she does really good. Yeah, she does really.
I
She does
almost
really good.
I like they her and Matt Damon's like scene together towards the end
Mhm.
really almost made me tear up because I was like, holy shit, they are fucking doing wonders right now.
Okay, we're glazing, but I gotta go back to giving some bad points here. So one of the other things too, and this has to go with the whole the we're going back to the whole no gods thing, right? How can we have the Cyclops in the movie but no Poseidon? How can we have a
Right.
Cyclops in the movie but no gods, like no actual gods? I feel like for me, if we would have had the gods, or at least, I mean, obviously not show Poseidon, you don't have to, but if there was a little bit more emphasis that they're real, lightning, something like that, like there was actual mythological creatures, but not the gods. So to me, that's just like why would we have those things happening? The witch turning the animals and all that, turning the soldiers into animals and stuff. It's like, why do we have stuff like that, but not those things? Why? Because
Yeah.
you just need the spectacle for the movie. Fine, fair, but you can't take certain out like that. That's not. I don't think that's how it works. You just took out his whole daddy. You just that was his whole
Yeah.
daddy, and you just come
Yeah,
out.
he wanted the realism so bad, but he was also just like, "Fuck, I can't leave out the keynotes of this movie because then people are gonna be like, what the fuck is this?" So that is I didn't even think about that, but that is a problem. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
because
an
like I
issue for
said,
me.
I like seeing them,
Yeah.
but how much better would it have been if they went into the cave or whatever of Scylla, and she's this big fucking serpent eel looking thing or whatever, and she's just wiping out the 6 men that she needs before they come back on the outside and they start arguing with each other or whatever.
No,
Like,
but we couldn't go into the cave. We actually just had to just. It was a drive by. We had the sirens too,
which
but we
I would
couldn't
have
see
loved
this.
to have seen.
We would have actually loved to see sirens or something like that. That would have been cool, but like nothing like that happened. So that I do feel like you can't have your cake and eat it too with certain things like that because it's more. It goes hand in hand. You have to have it, but again, that's where like that inconsistency to the whole bigger picture kind of like it just makes it work for some reason. But like, I do. That is a noticeable absence for me. Um, yeah, I there wasn't a lot of fight scenes in this movie either, which I mean, granted, I mean, I talked to you about this off pod as well, but like, I'm not a fan of Nolan's clunky fighting. Like I always feel like that's his style too, where like his fighting's a little bit more slower than what I guess as a modern audience is used to. Hand-to-hand combats are usually a lot more quicker. When it comes down to Nolan films, they're a lot more slower, a little bit more clunky. Movements are a little bit a little bit more aggressive, but you could tell that they're, I don't want to say they're staged, but you
Mm-hmm.
know, you could tell like they're preparing for something else and stuff
Right.
like that. So, um, I was hoping to see a little bit of Gladiator, of Nolan's Gladiator vision, and we didn't get none of that shit. So it was kind of like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, if I had a favorite, it's obviously the ending, but I did enjoy the Land of the Giants when they were just fucking everyone up. I thought that shit was cool.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. I don't think he, unfortunately, he just can't do it. And like, it's like movie. It's like what you expect a real human fight to happen. But that's again, that's another downfall. He wants realism so bad, he lets it all go, and it's just like, ugh.
And you know, maybe the realism is the part of the movie that we're supposed to pay attention to. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Don't want to touch on that. No, I think that's basically it. I think that's basically all my gripes when I have to this movie. I know some people were like, "Oh, the characters," you know. I don't endorse this, but this is what I was, you know, I was seeing, you know, people were saying like Zendaya makes that face all the time. That's her
100%.
face. I swear to God. You know. You know, people were saying things about the actors, you know, I was even worried about Travis Scott. Okay? I was worried about Travis Scott. But everybody, you know, he wasn't even half bad. In the beginning, I do feel like he was kind of reading off a script, but then he got a little bit better as like the movie kept going on. That's what I'm saying. I feel like Nolan actually picked a good time to drop Elliot Page, to make sure to drop Travis Scott. You know, it's kind of in the beginning when you're getting used to the film and getting into that immersion. So it's nice that he put all those things in the beginning just to basically get it out the way. Let's get this shit out the way. You know, understand that yeah, it's weird to you, but you're gonna fucking love them in this movie. And I gotta be honest, it worked. It worked. It worked. Josh, if that's about it, give us your final take on this film. Your rating from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, 5 being in the middle.
Um, so Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is something that I was looking forward to, although reluctant in certain areas because if you know his style, you know what you're getting into. On paper, this should work, and this all should be sound, and you should applaud him for the things that he does with the 70 millimeter cameras. I mean, I think he said he destroyed like two of them, and then like what he does practically and all that stuff. And like, yes, praise him, but don't praise him for the bad stuff, like not reading the book, only taking the cliff notes. John Leguizamo apparently is the only one on the fucking in that whole movie on the set that read the book, and unfortunately, that's just something you don't want to hear. You know what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
this was comic book stuff, you'd be very upset about the motherfuckers not reading comics. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he doesn't get a pass for that, unfortunately. I mean, I like it. I'd watch it again. I think I'd give it like 8 out of 10.
Okay. 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 I gotta say, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that's just my biggest gripe with this. When I walked into the Odyssey, I was expecting the Odyssey, not you know Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, right? And that was just my gripe with this whole film. I do enjoy the film. I love the film. I think the film is great. I think he does a great job behind the camera. I think the actors do an amazing job. Matt Damon. I think they make this movie, and like I said, the best way to put it is that there's the Odyssey, and then there's Christopher Nolan's The Modern Odyssey, right? And you know, a lot of the stuff that they touch on in The Modern Odyssey is a lot of the things that I would assume, you know, my generation, maybe like the younger generation, are you know very much more excited to see than what you know the previous generation was excited to see, right? Because back then, um, you know, it was all about the glory. Nowadays, it's all about the you know yeah, have the glory, but remember all the trauma that you basically went through on top of that, right? So it's a good take. I do like the film. It's well put together, but again, it's not comics accurate, and it does not get a pass. It does not. It's unfortunate. It does not. I give it an 8.5. I don't give it. I give it that point 0.5 only because, like I said, the actors knock it out the fucking park, except for John Berthel. I don't want to say fuck you,
Let me
but
tell you something.
I don't want to say fuck you, John Berthel, but you better make it up to me. That's crazy that you got put in Nolan's movie and you decide to act like yourself. Do better. Do better than that. But other than that, like I said, Nolan's refusal to actually put gods in the movie, John Berthol's performance, and I have to say, the inaccuracies to the book has to hurt the film for me, but everything else has to be as and his writing. Should I make it an 8? No, 8.5. I won't say his writing's atrocious, but jeez, get somebody to look over your paper, please, at least. One more thing, really quick, and this is just out of curiosity on my part before we wrap this up, Josh. When you were watching the Odyssey, did you get did you get jump scared a few times with the audio? Like I felt like there was like parts where when they were speaking, it was really like you had to pay attention because the audio was kind of low. But then when like the speakers boomed, it was like right after, like you're hearing them talk. It's not like super loud. It's kind of like in the room, kind of like, yeah, you can hear it. You just got to really pay attention. And then like as soon as the next scene comes in, it's like a splash of water and like the boat, and then there's like it's a like I don't know if you
I don't think
felt
I
that
got
in the
jump
theater.
scared by it, but it was loud. You can very much tell like some audio mixing needed to be redone, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, all right. So not just me, but yeah, it did get me a couple times because I was like, "Fuck, dude!" I was over there just trying up a little bit because I'm just like, "What are they saying, bro?" Like they're saying a lot, but I'm like, I could, you got to really focus. And so I started focusing, and then when I start focusing, that's when big old shits are happening. I'm just like, dude, come on, man.
You just see a
Why
wave. Poseidon! No.
No, I know better. I know he's not in the movie. Yeah. But let us know what you guys think. Check out the Odyssey if you haven't, and if you have, let us know your thoughts on the movie. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you want a sequel to this? Oh, I do. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey Part 2. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
Let
it
us know what
wouldn't
you
be
guys
a
think.
sequel. It'd be a prequel. They need to do the Iliad now.
They could. They could. They could. That means we would have to get a whole Elliot Page movie then.
Oh yeah, that would be about that, huh? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know.
Can he immerse us that much? We'll have to wait to see. We'll have to wait to see. Josh, let them know where they can tell us about topics that we should be talking about, movies that they want us to review, TV shows. Go ahead.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. Post on episodes there. You can hit us up there for any news or movies you want us to cover. Buzzsprout link in the social I just gave you. It's like a Patreon. You subscribe. You help the show go. Greatly appreciate it. You can listen to us anywhere at your podcast at FilmBros Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Again, wherever you get your podcast. Be part of the conversation. Twitch at FilmBros Podcast. And it's all said and done, subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast.
And with that being said, we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.
Oh, perfect.